Hello again and welcome to Elizabeth Hogarth Designs. Today I am creating some clean and simple summer cards. I wanted a set of cards that I could reproduce several times to make a set that would be available for my daughter to use within her classroom for her tinkering group. And so I came up with this design based upon some dies that I had and a set of bright and vibrant digital papers. Now, if you have followed me for some time, you will know that I am a huge fan of physical papers. I love the brands that I work with, like Graphic 45 and the Hobby House and Croft Consortium. And I came across these digital papers because of a connection I have with Laura Shutt, because we both create design team projects for the Hobby House. So Laura has been working on her own digital papers, and in support of her I downloaded a couple of sets from her Etsy store. So I would encourage you to take a look at my project pack on Etsy, and I'll leave you the details below. But here are Laura's designs, and as you can see they are an abundance of designs and vibrant colours, and I don't really have anything like this in my crafting stash, and I felt like these would be more appealing for the younger age group that I wanted to make the cards for. So here you can see this is what will happen when you look at Laura's designs on my project pack. She's put a great deal of thought and process into making these downloads as accessible as possible for us, and you can see that her angle policy is very generous. So these are Laura's designs. This is what attracted me to her brand, my project pack, because I spotted these cards that she has made with the papers on her Instagram account, and you can see that our styles are very different. She's very talented. My designs today are far more clean and simple, so I'm beginning with some Spellbinders dies. I need the outside frames of the notched corners, and then I'm using one of my smaller panels from a stick set from Lisa Horton. I'm using the very useful Sizzix wildflower dies, and in combination with these I'm going to be using Laura's papers. I'm working with a 6x4 card, and to begin with I want to create a shaped card. So I am using the outside edge of the die, and this will be set over the fold of the 6x4 card before being run through my die cutting machine. This will mean that you have a secure and safe hinge, as you can see here. Next I'm using exactly the same die to create the panel for the front of the card, and again this will be run through my die cutting machine, and then this front panel will be stuck to the front of the hinged card, and that's how I create a simple shaped card. I'm adding tape to the inside of the card just to keep it flat while I secure the panel in place. Several people have asked me about this Sweet Petunia precision tool. I'm based in the UK and I'm able to buy mine from Bumbleberry Crafts, so I will leave you the links in my description below. I'm using wet glue to add the front panel, and then I will leave this to dry, and we can take a quick look at the papers that I have downloaded and printed from Laura's My Project Pack. So this is Project Pack 4. You can see I've gone for the bright and bold colours, and I have cut them down to 6x4. So when I printed 2 pages at once to round about A5, and then spent some time cutting them down. So once they are cut down, I use the next die size down and I cut into the Project Pack papers, and I ended up with a mix of Project Pack 4 and 9, 4 or 5 designs that I wanted to try out. I'm using one of the larger Floral Sizzix dies, and I cut this twice onto just plain white cardstock. Then I'm going to glue these together just to give the flower a little bit of depth and extra security. And then I will use a stamping block to hold this in place to dry. I also use the rectangle die to cut out a small piece of vellum, and I'm using the vellum to add a simple layer and to mute some of the colours. So now I have all of the components that I need, I can begin to create the card itself. The first stage for me is to work out where the flower is going to sit on the vellum, and to decide upon the piece of Project Pack paper that I want to use in this particular card design. I work by viewing the different colours and pattern against the die cut. This stage can take me quite some time to think through, and I'm trying to film this in real time so that you can see that my thought process is quite slow, and all I'm doing is looking at the flower visually against the paper to work out what I like. At this point, this particular blue pattern works for me, but I want to continue, and I want to try each one of Laura's designs to see how they make me feel. I liked this pattern for a more uplifting design. The green stripes are beautiful, but for me they didn't work with the larger flower, and all of these panels will be used in more of my card making. So I discarded the green panel, and then I am working out here which one I like the best. Is it going to be the blue, the yellow, or the squirly whirly one? At this point I pretty much decided upon this blue one because I like the abstract like pollen patterns on the back in the yellow, and I feel like that goes well with the agapanthus seed heads. The other patterns will work well with some of the other flowers. You can see from the finished cards just how different each design looks by mixing up the shadow flowers and the papers. Now I'm happy with the design, I need a way of disguising the wet glue on the vellum. So I'm going to secure the patterned paper in place. I'm not adding any foam this time because these cards are going to be more as notelets, and they will be given in a box or a bag for my daughter to use as and when she wants, rather than individual cards where I'm adding much more detail and layers. So this is a good way of making a batch of clean and simple cards. Get your papers together, get your die cuts ready, and then you can just sit and work through and make 4 or 5 cards at a time. So now I need a way to disguise the glue on the vellum. So I'm placing the flower on the vellum as I would like it to be on the card. And with that memory in place, I'm going to add some wet glue to the reverse of the die cut flower. Then once that is dry on the vellum, I'm going to add more wet glue to the widest areas of the shadow of the flower. This will mean that you can hold the flower and the vellum in place and you won't have any sign of the wet glue. Then you can add a tiny bit of glue, or you can use the sentiment label to hold the other side of the vellum in place. So now the panel is being adhered to the front of the card, and once that is secure in place, I can begin with the extra embellishments. I'm using a simple sentiment sticker to add to the lower right hand side of the panel, and this means that the vellum will stay in place without me adding any more glue. And then I will complete this clean and simple card with 3 of my favourite coloured sequins in blue. Funnily enough, I was going with the dark blue and then the teal jumped up onto the card and I preferred that. So I added 2 more in an abstract triangle pattern. And then again, these are adhered in place with a tiny dot of wet glue. This is where the precision tool comes in handy because I'm using the fine nozzle, and this allows me to add the tiniest of dots of glue. The upper 2 sequins are placed near the sentiments because you want to add the embellishments so that they connect either to the flower or to the wording, and then your eye will travel around the details of the card. So there we have the finished card, and you can see how well Laura's designs and papers work with this clean and simple style, and you can create a whole range of cards with all of the different pattern papers, a simple white floral outline, and you can shape the cards with your favourite dies. I'm really happy with the cards that I have produced with this foray into digital crafting. A big thank you to Laura Shutt at My Project Pack. I haven't been paid to promote Laura, it's just me trying to support a fledgling business, and I really like her designs and her style. So feel free to follow Laura on her socials. I'll leave you the details below, and I look forward to welcoming you back to Elizabeth Hogarth Designs very, very soon. Take care. Bye bye for now.